Queen's Lead podcast. I'm your host, Amy Singleton, and as a child of the 80s, I'd love to say Queens rule, but they don't. Queens lead. Being a queen means you are worthy to be a leader of people. The guests on our show do exactly that. They are leading the way in their businesses, families, and communities. They're taking their rightful place in the spotlight, leading and inspiring the developing queens in all of us. Welcome to the Queen's Lead podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Queen's Lead podcast. Today, I am so honored to be joined by Anastasia Anselm. She is from Dominica and is a multi-hat wearing business owner. Welcome, Anastasia.
Thank you so much, Amy, for having me on the Queen's Lead podcast. It is an absolute pleasure to be here.
We are so glad to have you. So tell us just a little bit about your background and who you are as a person, where you were born and how you were raised.
Okay, sure, not a problem. So I was actually born in the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, which is a Caribbean island. And then I moved to Dominica 11 years ago with my husband. So we met in university, and he's actually Dominican by birth. And so after working in Trinidad for a bit, he decided he wanted to come back home. And so, the things that we do for love, I packed my bag and I followed. So I have been living in Dominica for the past 11 years. I currently own 5 businesses on island. So they are a wide range. I have a day spa, which has 2 branches, and soon we're going to have a 3rd branch within the upcoming months. I also own a barbershop and spa. I have a graphic design company, a commercial cleaning company, and then my latest business is a hydroponic and aquaponic business. And then I actually have 3 businesses that are going to start in the US pretty soon.
Wow. Well, how do you handle all of that? That's a lot to deal with.
To be very honest, being very, very transparent, some days I am a rock star. Some days it takes a lot of work for me to get my face out of the pillow. Some days I cannot count the amount of buckets that I need to collect my tears. Some days I'm like, yeah, let's do this. I'm ready to roll. So it varies. It's a roller coaster ride, and one that I would definitely not get off of anytime soon. I love it. I love every moment, every second of it. It is a very exciting, awesome ride. So yeah, different days, different feelings, different emotions. Definitely.
Yeah. I think we've all felt that at some point or another. I love that you said, some days I don't have enough buckets to catch the tears. That is so true sometimes. So were you always a business owner, or did you have a background in some other type of industry that inspired you to become a business owner on your own?
Well, actually, I left my corporate 9-to-5 job. Well, I definitely wasn't working 9 to 5. I was more like, I used to manage a hotel. And so I was working from like 7 in the morning until odd hours of the night. Like I just odd hours of the night into the wee hours of the following morning, because I manage a 5-star resort. And so my background, my degrees are in hospitality and tourism. Mm-hmm. And I decided, after just experiencing burnout, just realizing that I wanted to do more. I wanted to be able to survive off of my own efforts, having this calling that I just really needed to do more, be more with my life. I left my 9-to-5 job. My first business that I opened was my spa, which has been open for 6 years. Next year, we're going to celebrate 7 years. Nice. And when I started my spa, I had absolutely no experience, no certification in owning or operating a spa. I had to learn all of the services that we offered at this spa. so that I'm able to relate to the therapist, understand exactly, like what services we can do. And basically, many of my businesses were created out of obstacles that I encountered. I quickly turned those obstacles into opportunities. I would definitely say that my current or latest endeavor is definitely something that I'm very passionate about. I am currently in the process of being a certified coach. And so I have realized that I actually love working, inspiring, getting others to realize that you can definitely live your dreams. You don't have to read about the 1% in a book. You can definitely be a part of that 1%, but it takes time, it takes effort, it takes getting out of your comfort zone. It means having late nights, early mornings, uncomfortable conversations with family members, friends. It means creating boundaries, telling persons no. It means building yourself up. So it is possible. You don't have to read about it in a book and say, oh, I wish I was like this person or that person, or I wish I was successful. You can have or attain the same level of success. It's just a journey. It's a journey and a process, and one that you have to make your mind up to be on.
That's right. Right. You bring those buckets to collect the tears, and you use the tears to put out the fires, right? But look how much you're doing this. So
definitely.
I love what you said about turning the obstacle into an opportunity. So tell us a little bit about how a lot of people that listen to this podcast are going, okay, I'm a teacher. In a corporate 9 to 5. I'm in this industry and I'm looking for freedom. I want to do something different. And how did you begin to recognize that it was time? I know you said you were burned out, but how did you turn some of those obstacles into an opportunity on your own? Did you have an example of someone in your family that had owned a business, or was it all just straight up from scratch?
So it's definitely straight up from scratch. When I left my 9 to 5 job, a lot of my friends and family members were like, why are you leaving the comfort of knowing you're getting a monthly salary to what? Go find yourself, go find your calling. Like, what does that even mean? What does that translate into? Does that translate into dollars? And I will admit, I'm going to be very transparent. In the beginning, it was hard. My husband and I had quite a lot of crackers and water days. I cannot begin to tell you that. I cannot begin to count how many crackers and water days we had. It was a lot of juggling. We would have $100 and having to figure out how to make that $100 with. I know many a times we hear these fairy tale stories where of persons becoming overnight success. I mean, kudos to them. I don't envy them, because I have now learned that all of the trials and tribulations that I have been through have definitely helped to mold me into the person that I am now. And I know for a fact that I am a force to be reckoned with, because I have been through those trials and tribulations. And just like a phoenix rising out of the ashes, I have been buried, and I was buried, and I grew, I germinated, I blossomed into an amazing flower. So it was not, my story was not one of overnight success. I did not have a model in terms of my family members were entrepreneurs, or I come from that entrepreneurial background. I definitely was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth as well. So starting off my journey, it started off from savings. It started off from trial and errors. It started off with a lot of hard work, sleepless nights. But the key thing was just starting. And many a times we think to ourselves that we have to wait until it's perfect to start, but you just have to start.
I suffer from that myself so much. It's so hard to, especially when you're like a planner, you think, I need to look at this, I need to watch it. No, you have to just do it.
Correct.
Do it imperfectly.
Correct, because I have a business plan that I have been working on for this business, for a particular business, and it has been over 4 years, and I still have not started the business. And at this stage, I've made up my mind that next year I'm definitely going to start. I'm going to start with what I have right now, and then translate that. Because with many of my businesses, I've learned that you just start and you tweak it as you go along. Because even self, in terms of things that you envision or how you envision your product or your service going, you quickly realize once you start, that's not how it's going to go. You're always going to get feedback from clients telling you that, hey, you should do this, or probably you should do that. And once those clients are your niche market, you then realize that, okay, this is something to take into consideration. Oh, I never thought about this. I can definitely incorporate this into my business model. So
Yeah.
just that right now with what you have, just that. So yeah, so like we were saying, I didn't have a role model, but I just knew that I wanted more. I wanted more out of life. And so I plodded along for quite a bit. But then I really took a giant leap when my mom passed.
Mm.
I My mom passed at a young age. She died at the age of 51. And so something that occurred, I realized that my mom would always say, oh, when I get to this stage, then I'll do this. Or when I achieve this, then I'll do that. Basically, putting her dreams off and just
Mhm.
doing the bare minimum to get by,
Yeah.
just so that she can survive just so that she can survive today and also be able to see another day. And so her dreams died with her. And I quickly
Mm.
realized that I did not want that to be me, because at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen the next second. We do not know when that breath of life is going to be taken from us.
Mhm.
And so I truly wanted to ensure that I lived my dreams. And that meant getting out of my comfort zone, doing a bit more, not just a bit, doing a lot more.
Yeah, we got a lot more. And not
Yeah.
only just taking action on those dreams, but something that's become so clear to me with the business ownership and entrepreneurship is not living in that gap of the next goal, the next thing we're going to attain, but actually, taking action on those goals in real time, but stopping to be happy and appreciating what we have in that very moment, and not just looking forward, when I hit that 10K a month or when I hit this goal in business, then I'll be happy. We have to choose to be happy right now. Just like you said, the time is so limited. We just never know.
I don't know if I'm allowed to like drum on my counter to signal that, oh my gosh, that was an awesome
Yeah.
comment. But
Yeah.
yes, truly, like I have learned that while attaining the goal is awesome, but also to as well enjoying the journey towards attaining that goal is definitely awesome. And it's great for your mental stability too as well. Because many a
Mhm.
times, you work towards a goal and you're like, but I'm not reaching this goal. But you have knocked off so many, or you have climbed so many steps towards attaining that goal that you don't even realize that, hey,
Mhm.
you're at a different place than you were 2 weeks ago, 2 days ago, but you're just so fixed on attaining the goal that you don't even enjoy the journey. So
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, I would say definitely like I wish that I could jump on my desk to signal how awesome that comment was.
It's something that we forget, especially when we're just so goal driven, but stopping to appreciate how far we've come, like 10 years ago, I was in a wheelchair. Are you kidding me? How can I dare be, upset at myself for not attaining my next goal? I'm walking. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I have good relationships. I get to talk to beautiful people like you every day. Yeah, there's a lot to be thankful for and happy for in the moment as we're working on those goals. Um,
Definitely.
so tell us a little bit about, I know at least like for the day spa, you're about to open your third location. You didn't have a background other than obviously your hospitality and service background. That's, I'm sure, very helpful. But How have you began to build those teams and be able to work on your own stuff and, owning the business? What does that look like for you, building those teams and expanding locations?
So that is actually a very awesome question. Now, I know my team members are definitely going to tune into the podcast because they always listen to anything that I put out. And so they are going to learn something today. But whenever I'm building my team, I always look for persons who are more intelligent or better qualified than I am for
Yes.
whatever I'm looking for. Now, if I'm trying to hire a social media strategist and I know more about social media, then I know more about social media than you, then you're not going to add value to my team because it
Yeah.
means that I now have to dictate or spell out your role for you on a daily basis. No, I always get persons who are more knowledgeable, more experienced in whatever area or category that I'm looking for. I cannot be more knowledgeable about a particular situation than you. That's number one for me. Like that's just number one. Then also too as well, I always look for persons who are driven. So it might sound very foolish, but I know for many of my team members that they are not going to stay with me for like 10, 15 years. I know that eventually they are going to transition on into their own. And so they are only with me for a time, for a period, for a season. And I appreciate that and I embrace that. And so working together, we have that synergy because I know that they are awesome. I know what it is that they are going to be able to do in the future, and I know what value they bring to my business. Also, to as well, empowering my team members. I empower my team members. So I'm very clear about the days and the times that I am off. When I am off, do not call me unless the building is burning down.
That's right.
So they know to respect. It's the same way that I respect their off days too as well. So I don't call them unless it is something that's super important. Once you're off, whether you have ended your shift, I try my utmost best not to contact them. And if it is your day off, then I try my best not to contact you either because I truly believe in that work-life balance. You have to be able to have that work-life balance, or else you're just not going to give your best or not going to give your all during work. So I would say those are some things that are definitely important to me when I am working or finding different team members from my organizations, and also respecting one another because I offer to them the same level of respect that they would give to me. And so, we have that it creates that synergy. So in other words, I respect you. You know that I'm not going to do something to make you feel uncomfortable. And then they also have the authority to call me out. So you can pull me aside. Anna, I truly didn't appreciate the way that you spoke to me. Anna, I think that the situation could have been handled differently. And so I learned because everyone is different. The way that I might think in my mind, I'm speaking to you like plain old Jane, and you might think that it's belittling to you. And so I've learned to deal with different persons differently. So I would say those are key for me.
Yeah, that speaks volumes to your queen leadership right there, because understanding that there are people like I could not do what I do without my team 1,000,000%. They are way smarter than me. They are way more experienced than me at doing the tasks and the things that our business is surrounded by. So kudos to you for like recognizing like, I am not an esthetician. Like I need to hire an expert esthetician for my day spa, in those leadership positions, and giving them that authority to really call you out or communicate clearly is so important. At least here in the United States, we're having a mass problem with people being able to find help to find team members and employees to come and work for them. And I really think we know that the workforce is here. We have the data. But what's missing is that leadership in the businesses, because people have a choice of where they go work now. They can work anywhere they want, from remote to another country, you name it. But having a leader like you at the helm, I think would really help a lot of businesses out in finding that help, because people are looking for something different. They're looking for leadership and authority and autonomy in their jobs. They're not looking for a lifelong commitment. Like you said, some of them are going to be moving on one day, and you rejoice and celebrate that for them, because, if someone can outgrow you, kudos to them, let them move on and do something more with their life. So that's excellent leadership.
Yeah, you just appreciate that everything has its time and its season, and you embrace it while you have it, and you let it go when it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Have you had trouble in Dominica finding, is there an issue overall with other businesses finding help and team members right now?
Sometimes we do have those challenges. Sometimes because, like you have in some areas, because some of the jobs that you might, or that we might advertise, might be specialized. But now with technology, in some instances, like for instance, my graphic design company, I have designers that are from India. I have designers that are in the Philippines. I have designers in the US. So now, like with technology and being able to utilize that technology, the world is becoming a smaller place. And so I don't have to only rely on persons that are located within the West Indies or within Dominica to provide some of the services. I can actually outsource it. Like for instance, my business is in the US. My social media strategist, she is located in the Philippines. The person my accountant is in the US. My head of distribution and logistics is in Texas. And I have actually physically never met these persons, but we communicate over Zoom all the time. So the world is becoming a smaller place.
Yeah, definitely. We rely heavily on people internationally as well. You can see in my corner, Nicaragua, that's where our company is based, but we recruit talent from all over Europe and South America and Latin America and the US. And yeah, I agree. It's been a very unique last few years that have obviously crippled some economies and some people, but I think it's also opened our eyes to the opportunity that is there internationally for us to work together with others. It's been very helpful.
Definitely.
Yeah. So talk to us about the businesses in the US. What are you opening here? Are you opening a new one here in the US, or those are two existing?
Okay, so I have 3 businesses that are going to be open very soon in the US. One is a skincare range or a skincare line, where we would be providing clients with different products from cleansers, exfoliators, ingrown hair removal, serums, a collection of serums too as well. Those are going to be available online. We are just awaiting one more hurdle, and once we get over that hurdle, then we're all set to go. So we'll be available online. Then also too as well, I have an African t-shirt company. So the same thing, we are going to be available online. We have a few more things that we do need to work out. So that one is going to be open a little bit later down within the next few months, definitely. And then there is my coaching business. So I am in the process of becoming a certified coach. However, I have already started to operate informally, where I have worked with quite a lot of clients to get their businesses up and running, to get their doors open, and then in some instances to keep their doors open. But that business is actually registered and up and running, but I have not officially launched it, but clients have already started. So
Nice. Yeah.
so I guess you can say that we've started, but we've not officially launched.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so then there is Anastasia Anselm LLC.
Oh, no. Okay. So, um, I obviously you're not like you said you started already. What are the types of people that you're helping with the businesses? Is it typically a brand new business owner that's thinking about starting and just doesn't really know where to start, or someone who's already kind of in the mix of it and needs you to help them sort things out?
Okay, so the majority of the persons that I've worked with thus far are persons who want to start a business, but they're still holding on to these self-limiting beliefs. Many a times we've noticed that it has a lot to do with your mindset and how you view yourself and how you think that the world views you.
Mhm.
So we work on your mindset first. Then after we've worked on your mindset, we then understand, because okay, you have to understand who you are. One, you then need to understand what it is that you would like to do or what it is that you are passionate about, and then you need to understand how you're going to get there. And
Mhm.
so we map those three things out, and that first part, in terms of who you are, many persons are like, but of course, I know myself. Let's just say I'm Anastasia Anselm. I am 34 years old. I live in Dominica. I have a husband. And they'll be like, that's me. No, that's not you.
No.
That's not you. Like, that is the formalities. But what
Yeah.
about you? What gets you, what keeps you up at night? What do you think drives you? What it is that you're passionate about? What are some of your shortcomings? Because you also need to understand what your shortcomings are, because later down in the road, you have to know this so that later down in your journey, you know, okay, let's say, for instance, one of my shortcomings is I was not great with writing. And so I knew that. And I would struggle, spend days, weeks trying to write 2 paragraphs or trying to write a picture. And I quickly realized that it's not my strength. Okay, let me outsource that. And so instead of me struggling, spending 3 weeks trying to write a pitch, I knew, okay, let me outsource that. So I outsource that and I'm able to move on to the next task. So you have
Mhm.
to understand your shortcomings. You have to know that so that later down in the road, it's not going to frustrate you. You're not going to view it as a blocker. So you have to understand who you are. So it takes a journey to understanding oneself. Then things that you're passionate about, what it is that you want to do, and then how to get there. What we do after that, after we've mapped out all of that, we then look at what are 5 things, 5 easy, simple goals that you can attain right now, and we
Mhm.
start with that. Once you've attained 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals, you then get into the groove. It builds your confidence. You then start to look at yourself as being fierce. You walk into that room with that level of confidence. And so we then move on to bigger tasks. And so that's how we get the ball rolling. And thus far, I have helped over 52 women open up their businesses, and I have helped 31 women keep their doors open. And, you know, many a times we think to ourselves that, oh, I can't do this. And you think to yourself, like, oh, you know, I am so small and I need to stay in my corner. And persons on the outside are looking at you as a force to be reckoned with. But you are just holding on to these limiting beliefs. And so it's also good to utilize the services of a coach as well, because, like, for instance, for me, I have been through these stages, these steps. I know how to guide you through from point A to point B because I've been there.
Right.
So instead of you having to take 6 years to get to point B, I can help you get to point B in probably 1 month or 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So yeah, so definitely, you know, like it is something that I am very passionate about. And as women, we don't speak about our successes or our aspirations much. We speak about children, we speak about being in a relationship, we speak about the dream home that we want, but we don't speak about what it is that you want to do. What are you passionate about? What do you have that burning desire to achieve? And I found that many of my friends, we were slowly getting into this group, like, okay, yes, we had jobs, we had degrees, but the conversations were built around, oh, like, how are you going to decorate your home? Like, how are you going to, oh, like, how many children do you want? And what are you going to do with your children? And I was like, while I appreciate and I love that aspect, I also want more. I want to be able to do more. I want to achieve more. And so it took a while because many persons just could not understand. Like in the Caribbean, we have this thing where you are recognized based upon your husband's name. So many persons would call me by my husband's name. And I would be like, no, I have a name. I have my own identity. My name is
Yeah.
Anastasia. And I'd be like, but like, he's your husband. What's wrong with that? Yes, he is my husband and I love him. However, I am my own individual.
That's right.
But you're
Yeah.
married to him. And so it took a while for even my husband to as well to understand that I am my own person. I am grateful to be your wife. Yes, I'm happy being your wife. However, understand that I am my own person and accept that and call me by my name.
Yeah. I have a whole name all on my own. I'm a whole ass person right here by myself.
Yeah. And so, like I quickly realized that many women could not have that conversation with their friends, their family. And I think now we are becoming more open. We are now accepting that there is that place at the top for us. It's not just about guys and, you stay home and take care of the children, or you get a job and you bring in some level of income. Like, no, you can be the sole breadwinner. Like, you can make more than your husband. Like, you can, steer the ship. And so, yeah, it's just about being able to have those conversations and allowing persons to be open about it.
Yeah, I absolutely couldn't agree more. I've noticed more and more all the time. The women just saying, you know what? I'm going to choose to not be a mother, and you're going to have to be okay with that. Like, I have goals of my own. Not every woman is going to fall into that category of being the little wife and mother that wants to stay home. And for those who want that, kudos to them. But there are women out there that are like you and I going, we're going to take control of some stuff for a while. Let us try. Give us the.
Definitely. And you can have both, because I have friends who they are stay-at-home parents. And then also too as well, like for instance, I have one friend, she's a stay-at-home mom. And from being a stay-at-home mom, she quickly realized that there were no games and books for her children, in terms of a particular background or things that she wanted her children to learn about. Let's just say, like in terms of financial. So she actually has children books, story books, coloring books, puzzles that teach children about managing their finances. And so she started a business while she was home. So it's okay if you want to have both. But the thing is, you have to understand that you have to understand what your passion, what your calling is, and you have to embrace it. You have to acknowledge it and you have to embrace it. And we need to understand that you can have both, you can have one, you can choose whichever path you want to go down. It's all up to you.
That's right. I love that you're becoming a certified coach, because I talk to a lot of coaches. There are lots. There's a coach for everything these days, right? And so many of these coaches have never done the thing. They've never started and grown a business. So how are they going to teach and coach me into growing a business? You have 5 businesses, starting 3 more, lead teams. So who better to teach someone how to start and maintain, keep those doors open for a business than you? Kudos for that. That's anyone who takes your coaching is going to be obviously successful. But tell us a little bit about, and time's already running short. I feel like this has gone so quick. Tell us a little bit about how you help someone to take that once they determine, what I'm passionate about. Can that always be turned into a job or a business, or does sometimes a business have to exist to fulfill that passion?
No, actually, because I have seen I have learned that when someone has a calling, it's their calling. And so they might not be clear about it. And so I would allow them to go back, think about it, gain some clarity, exactly what it is that you want. Because many a times we think that selling is pushing the product or the service into someone's face. But no, what you sell to someone is the benefits. How is this product or service going to change someone's life, someone else's life? How is this product or service going to impact that person's life? And so, I tell persons, go back, think about it. How is this going to change someone else's life? How is it going to impact them, so that you gain a bit more clarity? Because when someone has a calling, it's their own, it's their passion. Let's just say, like, for instance, in terms of Amazon. I'm sure when Jeff started off Amazon, persons were like, oh, that's wacky, that makes no sense. Or let's say, for instance, Spotify. When Spotify started off, persons would tell them that makes absolutely no sense, that's not going to work. So I have learned that telling someone that their passion or their calling does not make sense is not right of me. You have to allow that person to gain some clarity. And gaining clarity means that you understand what are the benefits that are going to be gained from your product or service. Once you understand that, you then know who your target audience is, and you're then able to break that down into a niche market. It's cool on paper to have a wide range audience, but truly your niche market is the best, because you can never be everyone's cup of tea.
That's right.
And you're slowly going to realize when you begin business, like in the beginning for me, when I started business, I tried to please everyone. Mm-hmm. And I realized I was pulling my hair out. I was going in different directions. Yes. And then I quickly sat down and I'm like, okay, exactly who is my target audience? And I mapped it out. I mapped up the demographics, what my target audience, just everything, what my target audience look like, what my niche market, what is their spending range. So you be specific, you be super specific, so that you then know this is who I am marketing towards. Once you have work towards that, you then know, let me go do some research within that niche market. So you know how to launch your product, what colors, if it's an actual product, what colors appeal to persons. If it's a packaging, should it be an easy open packaging? Should it be something that's resealable? Is it something that persons are going to eat now in one serving, or is it something that they want to save? So that is going to determine how your product or service is delivered. And then, you just continue. It starts to become a lot clearer to you as you go on. But you first need to be super clear on the benefits. So don't ever let anyone tell you that your idea for a product or service is whack and it's never going to change someone else's life. Let's just think about fire, the first person to invent fire, I'm sure. And we are very appreciative of
Right.
iron and even electricity. And so, never allow someone else to think that your dream or your product or your service or your vision is whack.
That's right.
You have to allow yourself time to clearly define who is going to benefit. Once you know what the benefits are, you then understand who is your target audience. From your target audience, you can then break it down to your niche. And then you work to define what your product or service is going to be. And then as you launch into the market, you can refine, like I tell persons all the time, you can reevaluate your product and service offering every single day. There is no steadfast rule that what you put out there for the first time has to stay as is forever. No, let's just say you're baking cookies and you started to bake cookies, and so you launch with chocolate chips. You can gain information, do research from your clients. They might say, okay, maybe it might be good if you have a sugar-free cookie. My children get too hyper when they eat it, but I would love to have a sugar-free version. Maybe someone might say, oh, I love your cookie, but I wish there was peanuts. And when you do research, you might find that maybe 10,000 other persons want peanuts. And so here it is, you now have a new product. So you now have two, a chocolate chip cookie and a peanut and chocolate chip cookie, or a peanut cookie. So you can redefine, reevaluate your product and service every single day. You have to sit down and you put in that work and you redefine your brand. I'm not going to say every single day change your branding colors or your branding image. One day you're yellow, another day you're purple, another day you're pink.
Yeah.
But you can make tweaks to your product or service, but never ever allow, I think the important takeaway from that is never ever allow anyone to tell you that your vision of a product or a service or your calling is whack. You never know whose life you might change. And you might have this goal or this vision right now, and it's going to change the lives of persons 10, 15 years. And the persons who you are communicating with right now, they just can't see it. But you have to hold on to that, mold that, create that, and put it out into the world.
Yeah, that's right. And that goes right back to what you said at the beginning was, don't make it perfect. Maybe it's a chocolate chip cookie to start, but 6 months later, it's going to have peanuts, but just start, bake the cookie, do the thing. Just like, I love the quote that goes so well with what you just said by Henry Ford. If I would have given the people what they wanted, I would have made a faster horse.
That's true.
Yeah, well, without that, if what the people were calling for were a faster horse, he had to keep that mind, that vision in mind for the car. And where would we all be today without cars?
Driving buggies,
going a lot slower, riding faster horses, I guess. Well, excuse me. Anastasia, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and hearing all about your businesses and your journey. If there's one thing that you as a queen leader could tell and share with our audience, what would that be? What do you want to leave us with today?
Wow, there are so many, but I would say two things. One, invest in yourself. You are your greatest asset. Through trials, through tribulations, you are going to hear no a lot along your journey. You cannot allow it to break you. And that's where investing in yourself comes in. You are going to have family members, friends desert you. There are probably going to be days where, just like for me, I had a lot of crackers and water days in the beginning. And now I'm a serial entrepreneur. And I still struggle. Have no doubt about it. To this day, I still struggle. I still have my struggles. So you have to be able to build yourself up, build your confidence, build your self-esteem so that you are fierce. And then two, I would definitely say that you do not have to be perfect to get started, or you don't have to be great to get started. You just have to get started, and then eventually you are definitely going to be great.
That's right.
So it goes back to what we were saying. Just start right now with what you have and then work on it. Like eventually it is gonna come. Like success is going to come. It may not come right now. 5, 6 years, you are definitely going to be reaping the benefits of your hard work and your time and your effort. So don't give up.
That's right. We'll all be those 10-year overnight successes, right? That's how that happens. Invest in yourself. Well, thank you, Anastasia, for being my guest. And thank you so much for being a queen that leads. Everyone, you can find Anastasia at anastasiaanselm.com if you want to get in contact with her and get some coaching for your business. She definitely has the experience and wisdom that you need to be led.
Amy, thank you so much for having me on the Queen's Lead podcast. It was an absolute pleasure being here. And I just want to thank you so much for allowing your guests to come on and be so transparent to help your audience so that they can also pivot and develop themselves as well.
Absolutely. I thank you so much for your bravery and your leadership and for your teams and for your community. It's very inspiring. I'm so glad to know you.
Thank you.